Yes, Kishore. Okay, I given host you. Now we can start.
Yeah, just a moment. Yeah. All right, everyone. Good evening. This is Kishore Kumar. I'll be your trainer. So today we'll discuss about what exactly is velocity, what we can do using velocity, why is it hear, hearing so much about velocity nowadays. So we'll talk about exactly is going to be there. And once you get an idea, then you start training. So our agenda today going to be predominantly about understanding velocity. Recently, there have been a lot of changes from sales. Velocity was a basically it was built on Salesforce, but still velocity was altogether it was $1 billion back in 2009. In 2006, had acquired velocity. They have started making a lot. They saw a lot of friction in velocity. They have used a lot of things. Can you hear me? Am I? Hello. Can anyone hear me? All right. Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sorry, there has been some issue with the audio. All right. Yeah. So I'll just repeat what I just mentioned. So velocity is going to be our main agenda today, and we are going to discuss about what exactly is velocity and why are we hearing so much about velocity in the recent days, and what Salesforce is doing to build more into velocity, and exactly is the plan from Salesforce, and what are all the various things that are involved in velocity, which is so many clients and customers are excited about. All right. So to get started with, first of all, let's understand what velocity was and what velocity is now. So velocity back in 2019-20, I think they have started way back in 2015 or 16. Velocity is nothing but it's a company, it's a managed package, which is built on entirely on Salesforce. We'll get into a little deeper on how they exactly have done it. But yeah, just to have a background of what velocity is and when it has been introduced and all. So it has been built on Salesforce, and although even though it is built on Salesforce, like just like some of the App Exchange products, you need to buy licenses in order to use Velocity. Along with Salesforce licenses, you need to buy Velocity license. Velocity was a separate company altogether. They had entire structure different. Although they built everything on sales, totally different company. It was almost $1 billion company by the time 2019, and Salesforce themselves have seen a lot of potential using velocities. We'll understand that also, why exactly what was the reason behind the acquisition of Velocity by Salesforce. So Salesforce has acquired Steve in 2020, and they started to make a lot of changes inside it in the velocity, and they're trying to push a lot of things. Nowadays, if you go through any trial heads, if you see, there is a term called Omni Studio, which you keep hearing. So once Salesforce has acquired Velocity, they took out some parts of Velocity, and they're trying as a Salesforce general component, just like how we had process builders, how we have a lot of other components, inbuilt Salesforce components. they're trying to push something called Omni Studio components also, which were part of Vlocity, but now they're trying to make it as a separate package. Okay. So that's about Vlocity. So now it's completely integrated into Salesforce, and going forward, Vlocity term will be there, but still predominantly it is going to be called as industries in Salesforce. So when Salesforce sells their product, they are selling it as industries. We'll talk about why exactly it is. All right. So all right. So we are going to learn what Velocity is and how it works and what exact industry clouds. Whenever we hear something about Velocity, predominant topic is going to be always industry cloud. We'll exactly understand what it is and what are the advantages of using Velocity. And there are a lot of components built by Velocity. Although we do not have that much time to understand the entire architecture of Velocity, we'll try to get a basic idea of. All right. Right. So, not just in Salesforce, any cloud, we have different kinds of services, which is first layer of all these, cloud is basically infrastructure as a service, which basically is they're going to provide all the infrastructure that is required, build, a cloud platform. For example, you need a servers, you need network, you need a lot of storage, all those things provided by, let's say, Salesforce. And using all those, facilities or infrastructure, you're going to build a platform. So that is called as infrastructure as a service. Next layer is going to be PaaS, platform as a service. So this is the layer which is Velocity has used. All right. So what exactly this is? Structure provided by Salesforce. Platform is built, and that platform is basically can be used to build software or any applications to provide it to end user. Basically, you can use platform as a service, right? Velocity, you would have heard something called Viva CRM. Viva CRM is nothing but just like how Velocity is there. Viva is also another typical product of Salesforce, uh, which is predominantly into life sciences industry. They're going to build a layer on top of Salesforce using all Salesforce features, right? So that you don't have to start your development of that particular client's requirement right from the scratch. They would have built already a predefined platform, so you can start using that. Right? So we'll talk more about this. We'll get back to this. The next layer is the final layer is SaaS, which is software as a service, which we all generally do in Salesforce, right? If you're a Salesforce developer, you already would have known this because that's what we all do. We use Salesforce. We use a lot of other, managed packages or unmanaged packages. We'll get requirements from client. We'll build applications or software using, all these things, and we'll provide it to the end. That is, software as a service. Here, why are we discussing about this is to understand what Velocity has used Salesforce infrastructure and Salesforce features. Like, for example, we have Apex triggers, we have Apex classes, we have custom metadata types, we have custom objects, standard objects. Using all these Salesforce features, they built another platform and created them as a managed package, which we are all going to use. Right? Let's again understand more onto it. Right? So what kind of platform Velocity has exactly built? Right? So let's take an example of pharmaceutical. So during the pandemic, we all know how much rush there had been to create a vaccine. Right? So what goes behind the scene? Right? Manage all that data, to manage all the backend related stuff. You need a software. All right. For example, any pharmaceutical company usually what they do is they build a new vaccine or basically any drug. They develop a new drug. They're not just directly going to sell it in the market. They're going to basically hospitals or doctors. They suggest for so and so treatment, you can use this so and so company's drug, and once they provide samples. They may test. Once they see good results out of it, then those doctors or hospitals are going to prescribe that particular drug going forward. So that's how all these pharmaceutical companies are going to build their sales, right? To have an application, to have all of this fit into a software, you need an application or you need a platform to build, right? So if you are trying to build a software to fit all these requirements, let's say you're using like Salesforce, you need a lot of effort. You need so many developers, architects to design and finally deliver the product, which is going to take a lot of time. So that's where Vlocity comes into picture. Vlocity, although is specifically into these domains, which I'm highlighting in the screen: communications, media entertainment, energy utilities, insurance, health, and government. All right. In these domains, whatever, for example, all the communication or telecom. Let's talk about telecom, which is we all regularly use. We all have idea on that. So you go buy a SIM card, then you recharge, and once the SIM card gets activated, the plan gets activated, you start using the services. Right? To have a software application, you need a lot of setup in the backend, right? So so for all of that, what Vlocity has done is 90% of the whatever you need to build that software is already built by Vlocity themselves. All right. So let's say how that can be done. For example, a telecom client. Let's say in India we have Jio or Airtel, right? So there are like crores of customers. So all of them are going to be considered accounts. And every time you make an you buy a SIM card, a new SIM card, or you buy a mobile plan, activate some value-added services like call it, something, you are going to create an order. So they'll use order object in sales, and if, they'll need a lot of steps, like for example, a lot of figures, a lot of classes, a lot of back, processes that involves to make sure that everything is going through a particular cycle. All that am I audible now? Hello, am I audible now? Yeah, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I'm able to hear you. What about others? Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sure. Verizon in US is going to work in the same way. Jio in India is going to work in the same. All these telecom operators, although they may have little additional features, depending on their client, right? All the telecom operators are going to work in the same way. That's what Vlocity has identified and created this industry specific cloud. So, and in a particular industry, there could be hundreds of service providers or people who provide that particular service, right? Like in case of communications, we have Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, Verizon, AT&T. A lot of service providers are there. The way they all work are going to be in the same way. All right. Maybe here and there. For example, you take Amazon, you take Flipkart in India, right? The way they are working is similar, although UI platform is little different. The way you order is little different, but in the backend, if you think about it, everything is same. So that means every time you don't have to build a particular client's requirement right from the scratch if you provide everything predefined, right? So that's how velocity has come into picture, and that's what they started way back in 2015, 16. They have identified this and they started building. They started with communications and insurance in the first, and they started to expand to all these other domains. And Velocity has Salesforce has, once Salesforce has acquired, they have plans to increase it further. For example, now financial services cloud is there. They are trying to push it to Velocity. I mean, how Velocity is working in a similar way, they are trying to push it here also. Like again, there are a lot of other industries that are going to come in. Ultimately, what they are doing here is an industry, irrespective of which client they are, all are going to use the same kind of data model, same kind of product model, similar kind of architecture. At least you can say 90%, major part of it. Right? So Velocity has tried to build all of this, and they provide you as a managed package, and you'll buy those licenses along with your Salesforce licenses, and pretty much the groundwork is already done. Obviously, there are going to be client-specific requirements. Let's say Amazon wants it in a different way. Searching of products, categorization of products can be different in Amazon and can be different in Flipkart. Categorization part itself is same, right? So that's Velocity. That is what Velocity is doing right now. So I hope you guys are clear. Any questions so far? What Velocity is and how it works? If you not, you can ping in the chat. I'll reply.
Yeah, yes, we are clear.
All right, yeah, we'll go ahead. So to brief on what exactly Velocity is, using Salesforce, Velocity has identified that each industry is going to work in a different way. In the industry, all the clients or all the
Hi Kishore. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Your voice is lot of breaking. Is it for everyone?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just give me a moment then. I'll just change my
Yeah,
connection.
lot of voice is breaking. Okay, okay. Like some cutting and coming, cutting and coming. That there
Okay,
is no
I'm sorry
clear.
for that. Yeah, I'll just give me a moment. I'll change my connection and we'll.
Yeah, please.
Hello. Can you guys hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, we are able to hear.
All right, yeah, perfect. Sorry for that. There was a disturbance. Yeah, sorry for that. There was a disturbance. We will start back. Right. Brief on what exactly Vlocity is. Using Salesforce features, traditional features, Vlocity has come up with a new idea of building a platform for an entire industry. Because although there are different clients and different client requirements, the way the entire process, the data model, the product model, the architecture is going to be almost similar. So Vlocity has created this, their architecture for each industry separately, and they are going to provide licenses for that. So along with Salesforce licenses, you can buy these licenses and install that package into your Salesforce org, and you're going to see all those features right then and there. All right, and that's how Vlocity is selling their product, and that's why so many clients are excited to see what exactly is that, because nobody wants to start a project, particular. Let's say there is a client and they have been in Siebel for a long time. Now they want to move to cloud, so they are going to use. Let's say they are using Salesforce, and to build everything right from the scratch, it's going to take a lot of time for them, a lot of efforts, and who knows how the end product is going to look like, right? So that's why Vlocity has come up with this idea, and yep, pretty much 90% of the data model, majority of it is already done. So you can just start using it. Additional features you want to build, you can use it. Maybe there are some features in Vlocity that you don't want to use it. Yeah, that's all fine. All right. Right. Now, these are various customers that are using all in Vlocity. This is a little bit old slide. So there are approximately around 200 to 300 customers that were using Vlocity back in 2021. This slide was from there. Now I think it has gone up to 500 plus customers who are using Vlocity across various industries, and most of those customers are well settled companies. So yep, you can see Verizon is using, British Telecom has started to use, even Vodafone has started to use. Yeah, there are a lot of companies which are using Vlocity. Right. So what exactly happens once you install Vlocity? How do you do that, and what are the benefits that you get using Vlocity? All right. So first thing is, as we discussed, Vlocity provides you industry-specific data model, right? So what happens, for example, let's take this telecommunications group. All right. So if you take telecommunications group, as I said, you have a lot of products. You have SIM cards, some telecom companies, like for example in US, Verizon. A lot of places, a lot of telecom companies sell mobile phones, smartwatches. You'll have SIM card as a product, mobile phones, smartwatches, your mobile plans, your value-added services, add-on. All these things are going to be your products. All right. So to store all these things, you need a object. So Vlocity is using Salesforce standard product object. And all the customers of that telecom client are nothing but accounts. So they are using account. All the customers are going to make orders to buy some products, right? So they are using order and order line items. And every customer, once they place order, you want to see what are all, like, say I'm using Airtel from last 10 years, and I would have placed hundreds of orders. Now I want to see which are all the active products that are being used by customer. You need some other object to store all that data. So you have assets, which is again Salesforce standard object. So using Salesforce standard object so that they don't disturb the flow much, right? They again, that totally depends on the each industry. If you take insurance, more than order object, they are using quote object. based on the coverages you choose, based on the type of products you choose, type of insurance you choose, number of people you choose, your quotation is going to change. So that's why they are using quote unquote line item object, right? So depending on which industry, Velocity using mainly Salesforce standard objects, and around those standard objects, they have built hundreds of custom objects. Right? Example, when I buy an order in Amazon, like let's say there is a festival season going on, like let's say Christmas or New Year or Diwali in India, right? They want to provide an offer to customer, say 100 rupees off or $100 off, right? They're going to give you a promo code. So for that promotion details, you need a separate object. There is nothing out of the box from Salesforce. So Velocity has built a new promotions object. And when you apply that promotion to order, you need to store that data. So they create another object called order applied promotion. So like that. As they go ahead with each and every, they analyzed each and every requirement of each industry, and depending on what is needed and what is not needed, they have created hundreds of custom objects that are always revolving around these main Salesforce standard objects. Ultimately, it is built on Salesforce, so a lot of Salesforce stuff is already there, Salesforce standard stuff. Around that, they have built this. So that's one thing. This industry-specific data model, why is it so important? Is that a new customer comes in, as I said, like they were using a legacy system. Now they want to move to Salesforce Cloud. So they don't want to start right from the scratch. They need the best possible way to, get into the market quite soon using this cloud. So in that case, Velocity is the first thing that they can look of, because a lot of data model is already built. Any project, even before development starts, right? A lot of brainstorming goes into deciding on what exactly the data model should look like, what exactly the product model should look like, the entire architecture. You need you need to invest a lot of time, in coming up with a plan on all of these things, right? And yeah, you're always not sure what, even though you have spent a lot of time and a lot of money on that, you're not sure whether you're going to get the best product out of it or not. So that's why Velocity themselves will provide everything. So most of the data model is already built so that you can start using it. Right? Now, next thing is, other than the industry specific data model, Velocity has come up with something which is very useful, and which is the way forward in almost all the applications, because going forward, you don't want to build everything right from the scratch, right? That means, let's say I want to fetch some objects data, right? I don't want to again write an Apex class, create a query there, write that select statement, put everything into a list, then again converting it into, let's say you're transferring it to a third-party system. You need to convert everything into JSON. For that, you need to write a wrapper class. Lot of efforts there. Just for a simple query, querying of data, you need to put in a lot of efforts. So maybe going forward, what's going to happen is you're going to make sure that everything is configurable so that your development becomes faster. And Velocity thought of this way ahead of time, and they started what you are hearing now called as Omni Studio. Velocity has built, that very long back, right? Once Salesforce has acquired, they're calling it as Omni Studio. But with Velocity, like there are different components which does the job. Example, as I said, you want to query, you want to query from multiple objects, you want to create a list all of those things, you want to convert everything into JSON. All of that can be done using configuration, using the component called data. You want to load everything back to Salesforce, you can do it again with the Yeah, I think it's right now fixed. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. All right. So a lot of these, like for example, you want to load some data. There is already a pre-built component which you can use through configuration. You want to integrate with external system, you have it ready. You want to execute something complex. You don't have to go for Apex class. You can use a configurable component. You want to build a robust UI. There's a lot of things in place. You have a lot of components ready for that in Vlocity. So using Vlocity, you can build faster, applications in much faster way. You can build all your business flows with complex functionalities in much faster way. Right? How is that happening? It's through Omni Studio components. Again, remember, Omni Studio is something which consists of a lot of components. Salesforce is trying to push hard so that amount of effort you put in developing anything right from the scratch using code should be reduced going forward. All right. Earlier, whenever you buy Vlocity managed package license, all of this used to come along. Now, a lot of customers from a lot of Salesforce customers wanted it to be a normal feature. That's why they created this another managed package. I mean, even now, if you build, if you buy any Vlocity package, you will have all these components. If you don't want these industry specific data model or anything, you can buy only Omni Studio components also. And Omni Studio components, Omni Studio managed package is being used by hundreds of thousands of customers in Salesforce right now. We'll discuss how exactly they can do. I'll show you quick examples here itself in the upcoming slides. Right. So as I said, developing complex logics and functionalities becomes very easy and quite faster. Right? And integrating with other systems. I remember like when few years back before Vlocity, before Lightning, everyone used to ask, do you know integration in Salesforce? As if that is some big task. Because yeah, obviously for a Salesforce developer who is majorly working in all these configurations and a bit of customization, integration used to be a entirely different concept, and you need to have separate knowledge for that. Now with Vlocity, it's just a 2 minutes job. Like you can just drag and drop a component. You can define what is the endpoint, what is the how can you authorize all these things, and done. You can invoke an API of a third-party system, or you can expose Salesforce data to a third-party system. All of that with very simple, drag and drop components. And to give more, better profit. If you remember, always Salesforce used to say that Salesforce is 60% configuration, 40% customization, but hardly you ever see that happening, because once you get a project from a particular client and based on the client requirements, you keep going towards customization more and more, so much so that all the organizations, like you'll have too much of Apex code running for every simple operation. Right? So that never comes true, like where 60% configuration, 40% customization never actually happens. But with Vlocity coming into picture, that actually is true now. Not just 60%, you can say even much more than that. Right? And in Vlocity, we use JSON format. Although Vlocity supports XML format also, but JSON is the most preferred, and Vlocity recommends you to use JSON format for data transfer. Those who are not aware of JSON, it's fine. We are going to discuss what is JSON and how to use that every detail in our training sessions. right? But yeah, just to give a brief, JSON is a data transfer language, data processing language, which is quite easy to understand actually, and very faster in processing. It doesn't take much efforts for you to create even a large data JSON and transfer it to a third-party system. All right. What are other velocity out-of-the-box features, which are exciting for customers who are using Vlocity? Right. We'll talk for now on the CMT domain: communications, media, telecom, and energy utilities. We'll try to cover these. Even in our training, we'll try to cover most of these things. So when you come to a telecom domain, right, or any e-commerce platform, it need not be a telecom domain. You consider any e-commerce platform. It could be your, let's say, Amazon, Flipkart, your Airtel, Vodafone, Verizon, whoever are using e-commerce platform. That means using internet to sell their products, right? Will have two different processes. One is the order capture, the other one is order management. They are very, very important in any e-commerce platform. What exactly are those? Order capture is a process where an anonymous user or an existing user comes to your website and buys a product, creates an account, buys a product, does the payment, right? From the time any anonymous user enters your website till the time he makes a payment and creates an order in the backend, that whole process is called order capture. And in this order capture journey, you're going to do a lot of things. You need a lot of UI screens. Think of Amazon, Flipkart, right? You log in if you're a new existing user, or if you're a new user, you sign up, you create an account for yourself in the backend, and you'll have your login details, and you'll have a main page, and you'll have categories. You can choose your category. All those products will be displayed. You can choose a particular product. Those product details will be displayed. You can choose, like, for example, if you're going for a mobile, you can choose the RAM size, the memory size, all these things, and the color, and place an order. Once, before placing an order, it'll ask for you to create an address or choose an existing address. Once that is done, you will go to the payment page. Then finally your order is placed. That is just the UI part. There's a lot of things that happen in the backend, right? That entire process is called order capture. And for order capture journey, Vlocity provides all these. Using Omni Studio components, you can build majority of it. Again, there are two ways. We'll discuss in detail about how customers are actually using, or how clients are actually using Vlocity to build these order capture. As I said, there are two ways. One is having a third-party UI, let's say you React.js or some other tool, and other ways using the Omni Studio components themselves to build a UI also. Right? We'll try to understand both ways. Right? And the advantage of it is most of them is going to be declarative to build all your business flows, to build all your logics, to build all the executions. Everything is going to be, at least 90% of it is going to be. I'm yeah, I recommend you to take a look at these particular websites, like Verizon, British Telecom, Rogers, M1, all these things. You'll get to know most of these clients are using Vlocity. I mean, all of these clients are using Vlocity, and some of them are using it for the UI as well. So you can just take a look. So whatever you see on those websites, I mean, once we start the training session, I will actually show how they are working. Since it's a demo session, I will not be able to show them. Yeah, we'll talk in detail about how they have built, how that can be designed out. Again, next part is going to be, as I said, order management. All right. order management is a process in which I'll tell you it in a better way. Once an order is placed by a customer, right, end customer, till the time the product gets delivered to the end customer, that entire process is called order management. And can differ from product to product. You're buying a mobile phone, it has a different process, right? You're buying a mobile phone, it's going to be you check whether the product is available in the nearest inventory, and if it is available, you are going to send it to the delivery agency or whatever it is, third parties or whatever, and they are going to pick up and send it to a nearest hub, and again from there it will reach you. And in meanwhile, there is a lot of stuff also that happens in the back end, right? All of that process is called order management. If you're buying a SIM card, again, a different process. You're going to have documents submitted by the customer online, and you are going to verify those documents. If it is verified, just like how mobiles have IMEI number, SIM cards also will have IMSI and ICC ID. You are going to tag them, you are going to give that mobile number, and finally deliver it to the customer. So again, there are a lot of technical stuff. I'm going to highlight all these things. So all of that is going to come under order management. In order management, again, there are two things: orchestration and decomposition. Right? There are so many clients before Vlocity who used to have separate third-party systems, third-party tools for orchestration, third-party tools for decomposition, third-party tools to build the order capture journey. For every little thing, you had to rely on third-party systems. But with Vlocity, all of that in single place. Product management. For example, let's talk about Amazon itself. They have millions of products, and they need to categorize them. And they need to, if you go to Amazon, if you buy a mobile phone, it shows two other products, like similar products, or you can see the products that you can buy along with it. You can, like when you're buying a mobile phone, it'll show you, I think, screen guard and back panel, all these things, right? So you need a specific tool using which you can configure all your products in an effective manner. And I say effective manner, they should be very easily accessible to the customer. You need to have all of them categorized in a proper way, even in the backend, so that you can process while querying, while executing some data, it gets easier. All of that can be done using a particular tool provided by Vlocity called EPC, or Enterprise Product Catalog. All your product related stuff can be dealt EPC. And next comes, when you have this kind of complex product configuration, you need to also have complex pricing, right? Maybe some of you might be aware of CPQ, Salesforce CPQ, right? So Vlocity has utilized that Salesforce CPQ concept and created a new tool called Vlocity CPQ. Again, there is no relation between Salesforce CPQ and Vlocity CPQ. It's just that using that configure price quote concept, Vlocity has built a new tool for themselves. Is Vlocity CPQ. Deals with all kinds of pricing, all the promotions, discounts, or when you buy a parent product, how the pricing of child products is going to behave. A lot of complex stuff is going to be dealt using Vlocity CPQ in a much simpler way. Right? Next comes your digital commerce and cart-based APIs, which is, for example, you are trying to apply promotion. You go to Amazon, you apply promotion, and the price gets reduced. Right? You need to have some logic defined in the backend, right? So that it dynamically picks the product of that price and applies the promotion and gives you a price after the promotion, right? So for all these kind of logics, behavior is always going to be the same, irrespective of the client. So Vlocity has come up with a concept called digital commerce and cart-based APIs, where you don't have to build, a lot of logics. They're not part of either order capture or order management. There are certain logics other than these. For all of them, Vlocity provides you them as an API. When I say API, it's basically you can call it very simply using Vlocity on your components. Just call the class and the method and send your order ID or some kind of info. For example, to create an order, right? You don't have to write any Apex class in the backend, or you don't even need to use Omni Studio components. You can just call a simple API, give the account name, account ID, give the product ID, it creates an order for you. Other than order management, order capture, Vlocity has built these digital commerce and card-based APIs. Right? We'll see what is the segregation and why it it has been defined like that. We'll see all those details much more clearly. All right. Again, industry-specific data models. So these are all certain things Vlocity provides out of the box. And trust me, before Vlocity, you had to rely on third-party systems for each of these individual things. Now, after Vlocity, everything is in single place. All right. We'll discuss in detail about each of these, whatever you see here, how they can be designed, how they can be configured, how they can, with an example, how they'll work and everything in our training session. Right. So Vlocity components, which I have been talking about, the Omni Studio part of Vlocity. Right. This has gained so much attention among Salesforce customers that this was part of core Vlocity. Salesforce has seen a lot of business in this, so they have separated this entire Omni Studio component part from Vlocity and create a separate managed package, which they're trying to sell, and a lot of customers are actually buying this. So what comes with this? What exactly is this? There are two different categorizations. There are two different categorizations: interaction tools and data tools. So your interaction tools are the ones using which you can build UI. And data tools are the ones using which you can build backend logics. Right? For example, just a very simple one which I just wanted to show, so I'm highlighting it here. See, first of the interaction is your Omni. Omni is nothing but Omni in the sense guided business flow. Right? So if you want to create a guided business, when I say guided, observe Amazon or any e-commerce platform, how they are going to work. Right? They have specific set of screens. You click on a button, it redirects to a specific page. Right? And once you do something there, it redirects to a specific page. Right? So the flow which I just told earlier, right? You go to Amazon, you create an account, you see the categories, you pick a category. That is called as guided business flow. Right? You are an existing customer, you're a new customer, you are part of Amazon, whoever it is, this is going to be the flow that you come across when you go to Amazon site. Right? Maybe here and there some screens may change, but ultimately you build certain screens and you direct customers in to go in a particular flow, one after the other, one after the other. For example, you're an existing customer, you already have addresses added. So that means you don't see the new sign up page. You directly see all your existing addresses with a button to add a new address. Right? So, little bit here and there change. Ultimately, one common single guided flow. So make sure that can build everything easily, Vlocity has come up with OmniScript. All right. Using OmniScript, you can build guided screen flows, which can have any kind of complex logics. You want a button, you can do that. To that button, you want to define some logic, can do that. You want to show a text field, can do that. You want to make it more dynamic, which gets data based on some other user input, and you want to hide certain other pieces of page, you can do that. You can do a lot of complex functionalities. So an example of that is this. And again, yeah, this is complete drag and drop. Sorry. Complete a drag and drop. No, mostly you don't have to use any code. If in case certain things are not achievable by configuration components provided by these OmniScripts, in those rare cases, you are going to use code. Otherwise, you pretty much are going to use Vlocity's OmniScript to build screens. For example, this is one such a screen I'm showing here, right? If you see here on the top of the screen, right side, there is something called choose your number. That is nothing but a text field. This again, there are two options: pick new number or keep my existing number, which is for 14. So these two options are basically a radio button, but made it to appear like this. Right? Again, there are these numbers which are coming from an API from third party. You're trying to display them here. So like this, you can build any kind of complex logics using a simple drag and drop feature of Vlocity using OmniScript. All right. And the second, which is cards or flex cards. Right? I'll tell you what exactly is cards first. Cards is a bit old component. Maybe many clients are not using nowadays. We will anyway cover that also in our training. Cards are basically predominantly created for customer care purpose, right? When I say customer care, for example, you have a customer care service, like for example, Amazon is there, you have an issue with your order, you call up customer care, right? And say that I have so-and-so issue. So when you call up customer care, that customer care agent shouldn't be running here and there in the Salesforce org or any org to get all your details, right? So to make sure that you give a 360-degree view of a particular customer, you create cards. So using cards, you can show the customer information, the previous orders he made, the current active products he has, the latest order he has. Like you can design your screen in any way you want so that you can give a 360-degree view of a customer to that particular customer care or that particular agent who is dealing with that. So that was the main idea behind Vlocity in creating these cards. For example, this is one card. A telecom customer has called up customer care agent. You can see all his details here in one single screen. This is an example of insurance customer, right? That was the idea behind creating cards, but they saw a lot of potential again using with the cards. So they created something called flex cards. I think the naming convention is wrong here. It's not flexi, it's flex cards. They are much more futuristic and much more optimizing kind of component. Again, it is a UI component. For example, how can you say? There is a screen, like for example, Amazon screen, right? And you chose an option there in Amazon screen, and based on that option, you want to display and again a different component which has a lot of data where customer can choose multiple other options, right? That child component, you can create it as a flex card, right? So anyway, to provide more detail, ultimately they're all UI tools. So to provide, we'll talk more on that, how to configure, how to make sure that we build the right component, what to choose, whether OmniScript or FlexCard, everything in our training. The major difference is OmniScript is a parent component for almost, which is the UI tool, which has all the screens that you and flex cards are child. Yeah. Flex cards. Right. Yeah, flex cards are the child components. All right. There is again a lot of change that happened. Earlier, Velocity UI components used to have Angular JavaScript. For example, all these architecture of UI tools, the interaction tools, was built around Angular JavaScript. It was not native to Salesforce. There is always a bit of lag, a lot of complaints on that, definitely. So Velocity has changed their entire architecture, LWC now. You don't have to build LWC. Create an OmniScript, do whatever you want to by dragging and dropping components. Let's say you want to build this screen, whatever you see on the right side here, right? Using OmniScript. You build all of that. Velocity generates an LWC component for you. Earlier, it used to be Angular JavaScript. Now everything has been made to LWC. There's a lot of framework change. All that you drag and drop creates a new line in the LWC components that gets generated in the backend. For example, just like how Salesforce, like you go to, let's say you want to create a custom object or a custom field. You click on new, you choose the field name, you choose the data type, you do all these things and click on save, right? Similarly, OmniScript is also a component. Once you create a new OmniScript and click on save, it generates an LWC. Drag and drop a text field, it adds a new line into that LWC in the backend. You made some change into this OmniScript, does the that it basically generates the LWC again in the backend, or it updates that particular LWC. So you don't have to be proficient in LWC. You will anyway easily learn it because all you do is create a tool, create a component, UI screen, complex UI screen using OmniScript. In the backend, it is generating LWC for you. There's another interaction tool here called templates that has been completely taken out because LW has come into picture. Templates earlier used to be there for Angular JavaScript. For example, you need any kind of styling there, you can use Angular JavaScript related. That has been completely moved out now. Velocity is no longer going to support any new components which are using Angular JavaScript. It's completely LWC now. Right? Just to give a brief about what these data tools are, what they can do. They're very powerful. Trust me, they can do a much complex jobs. Data after extract. Name itself says that it extracts the data from Salesforce. You create a tool wherever you want a query to be run. You just simply create a data after extract and choose the object, choose the fields, and you can define how your JSON has to be looking like, and it does the job for you. Extracts the data, converts into JSON, and provides you the output. And there is no restriction on number of objects you extract in a single extract data raptor. Any number of any number of objects in a single data raptor extract, and you can create any type of JSON using all that objects data. That means, let's say I'm extracting data from account, order, product, and 3 or 4 custom objects. But my output should be a single data JSON. I can do that. I want to separate a data JSON for each and every object. I can do that. I can do mix and match. Anything can be done using a data raptor extract in terms of querying data from Salesforce. Again, data raptor load. It does 3 jobs: date, insert, and upsert. Any number of objects, no restrictions. Simple. Choose the object. Choose that JSON from where it is coming and choose the object field. It loads the data. Transform will it's more of technical. We'll see how it goes in training. Integration procedure. This is the you can say the very powerful, and you can say this is the heart of Omni Studio. It is nothing but an Apex class in configurable way. Whatever your Apex class does can be done using configuration using IP, integration procedure. You want to invoke a third-party system API, you can do that by simple drag and drop. You want to execute some complex logics inside a for loop with a condition, multiple conditions inside, you can do that. Whatever your Apex class can do, 90% of that can be done using integration procedures. Right now, if you see, mostly what you can do is you can create your UI using OmniScripts and Flex guides. And you can use this integration procedure as a controller to it. Right? Can integrate all these components in one another. OmniScript is the parent. You can add any of these components inside it, and they are going to work in sync. Right? So this is how, not just the industry data model, not just the out-of-box features provided by Vlocity to handle a lot of complex, things in the back, like order management, order capture. You have these Omni Studio components, which does a lot of, code back. So a lot of using all these. All right. I hope I made it clear. Right. So we are going to discuss about all these Omni Studio part, the core CMT and energy utilities domains. We'll try to cover everything, as part of our training, and we will build a mini project for each and every different concept. For example, when we are talking about, let's say, Omni Studio, we'll try to build a simple project using all these components. So when we are dealing with order management, we'll try to build their process in the back, see how it works, right? So yeah, that's pretty much about Vlocity, and that's what we are going to do as part of training. I'm really sorry. There was a lot of very bad here. Fortunately, happened today. However, yeah, we'll try to do it better in our trainings. Any questions or anything so far? No questions? Yeah. I have a question here. What is the prerequisite for this? You need to have the basic understanding of Salesforce. I will say Salesforce admin part. You should know what is what. For example, you should know what is a lightning copper. You don't have to build it. You don't have to have the knowledge of building it, but you should know at least what is lightning copper, what it does, so that you can do something similar to that using on this velocity. So it's just like if you know that, at least what it does, you can build the same thing here itself using configuration. That's pretty much. You should have basic admin knowledge, what are objects, fields, what are permissions, this basic Salesforce knowledge, and what is what in. No need of any coding knowledge here. Everybody who starts Velocity will not have any coding knowledge. So the point itself is that, and we specify the entire, yeah, here you see on the screen, right? All these parts, order capture, order management, you all these are only configuration. So the base requisite is going to be handling knowledge Salesforce, knowing what is Salesforce. Did I make it clear? Any other questions? Is there any difference between different domains? Yeah, just
Is it required any code?
No, no need of any coding knowledge. Just as I said, for example, you're trying. You know what exactly an class does. Okay? You don't have to build anything. You don't even need to write a. You don't have to build anything. Sorry, you don't have to build anything using Apex class or anything. Just if you have an idea of what is Apex class, right? You can do the same thing in the integration procedure through configuration. No need of any coding knowledge here.
So you are saying there is no code to is required for customization of Velocity, right? Everything is the drag and drop.
Right. Yes. Yeah. For the most part, yes. And third is asked question. Yeah, just but there is difference between. We predominantly are going to cover telecom, basically communications, media, and telecom, and energy utilities, because that's the major domain in Velocity, and we'll try to covering mostly on that part. However, if you need insurance separately, you can take a few classes separate, because CMT and EU are the main domains in Velocity. Insurance is also definitely main, but yeah, most of the people who come to Velocity wants to learn about this. So yeah, if you need something specific there, we'll definitely learn about that. We'll try to understand the data model of insurance and how everything works. Right. So Elias has asked a question: how long does the training take? I would say we'll take 35 classes at least, and each class can go up to 1.5 hours. And training time, morning or evening, we'll decide on this, Elias. Mostly it's going to be evening in India time, in IST hours. So we'll decide on the exact timing based on everyone else. So you can speak to Kishore, who can guide there. Yep. Training overall, it's going to be 35 classes at least. Can go beyond as well. Yeah, each class is going to be up to 1.5. Now, any other questions? And trust me, it's not to worry. First thing is, you don't have to worry about code anymore. The reason why I'm saying is, I'm not saying you know code completely. That's never going to happen anywhere. It's just that Velocity makes you understand the code in a very beautiful way, because most of the people who attended this training also, they were completely from Siebel. They started to learn Salesforce admin just so that they can attend this training. Once they attended this, they started to see how Velocity started to build all these things. For example, I'll tell you the tricks to understand code part. You build a data after extract. You see the complete query, how it has been drag and drop. You define everything in through configuration. and you will also see certain, debug logs where you will see the actual code that is running it back. You make minor changes so that you'll know what is happening. So that way you can learn it in a very easier way. Yes, Suma, we will provide as well.